What's going on, everybody? I'm Primalliquid and welcome to my guide for Disgaea 7. In this video we are going to be talking about the item world and all of its changes to previous titles, because the item world does function quite a bit differently now with the introduction of item reincarnation. So let's talk about it, shall we? So, first of all, the biggest difference when it comes to the item world is actually the amount of flaws each item has. In previous titles, the flaws were basically 30 flaws for a common item, 60 for a rare item, and 100 for a legendary. However, that is now different. Common items now only have 10 flaws, legendaries have 30, and rare have 20. However, do not worry, even though an item, even at legendary status, will only have 30 flaws, that's not to say you are only going to be running 30 flaws in said item. The main reason for that is related to item reincarnation. So what item reincarnation is essentially once you have completed all of the flaws allowed on an item, or you've used the research squad to run through all the flaws completable on said item, what you can then do is you can then reincarnate it. Now, you do not need any levels on the item to reincarnate, you just need the stages complete. Like here, this Exodus item, as you can see, it has no levels. However, it does have the star next to its icon. This means that the item world is basically complete in it, and I can now reincarnate it. However, if we go to my normal items here, I cannot actually enter the item world, as you can see. The reason for that is in the middle, it shows 20 floors out of 20 floors complete. This means now I cannot run the item world in that item until I reincarnate it. So let's just go ahead and reincarnate that really quickly. As you can see, it gives me a list of 3 different items that I can choose. So, firstly, we have the Veneer Thruster, then we have the Exodus, and we also have a monster magical weapon. As you can see, the properties are different on them as well. This is normal, however, sometimes you might not even get that Exodus there. Sometimes it can be 3 entirely different things. If you want to force an item reincarnation to have the same item result, you need to pass a bill in the item menu, which is 10,000 item points, and this will just always ensure that the item shows up. So I just passed that, so now if we go in and take a look, as you can see, my items are now different. It has replaced the Veneer Thruster with a second Exodus. And as you can see, we don't have any new abilities to learn other than that one right there. Now, when it comes to running the item world and item reincarnation, you are going to want to do this a lot, okay? The main reason being that this is how you obviously create overpowered equipment. Now, one thing I will say, however, is if you run through an item using the research squad and you just get that up to level 30 and then immediately reincarnate it, there is a slight problem with that, which I will show you right now. So this Exodus right here, as you can see, it is not leveled at all. So if I just go ahead and start the motion for reincarnating that, this is a new screen. Now, right now, it shows that I have 100 LP. However, I will not actually have any LP on this. The reason I do is simply due to the fact that I have the DLC character Mao. Now, with Mao being in the item reincarnation squad, he has an ability that when he is the leader of that squad, we get an extra 100 LP. Now, because the game is in Japanese, I'm not entirely sure on how LP is earned, unfortunately. I do believe it is just a case of going through the 30 floors as normal. I don't know if it's based on level, or if it is based on, you know, the amount of kills you get, or so on and so forth. I've not managed to test that just yet. But what this screen is essentially, it's a little like the reincarnation for normal characters. You would then spend these LP points to increase the stats. However, that is not just a general increase. So as you can see right now, look at my Exodus stats on the right. That is 21,000 attack and 15,000 for everything else. If I go to reincarnate it, right, as you can see, the stats are lower. And the main reason for that, okay, is because of the way the stat spread happens here. So right now it's showing all of my stats at 16,000, which is a little bit higher than they were normally. However, this is a little bit of a fluky situation, okay? You see, with item reincarnation, if we do this level 306 item, as you can see, my base stats are 104,000. Now, if we go here, okay, as you can see, they are definitely a lot lower, but now they are all the way down to just 44,000. That is because I've lost the levels, okay? Now, one of the things to note, however, is if you are just constantly reincarnating an item over and over and over using the research squad, the stats will actually slowly diminish, okay? In order to properly upgrade the stats as high as you possibly could, what you need to do is you need to run through the item, leveling it up. And then you also need to finish the final stage. Once you've done that, you can then reincarnate it again, and then you would have more LP points able to be used. So right now I have a Trapezidon here. It is level 500, which is the maximum level allowed for an item currently. So now that I am level 500 with that trap, once I complete all 30 stages, I will then be allowed to reincarnate it. And then once again, I can use the LP to basically transfer as many stats over as I possibly can. And then from that point on, what we do is it resets the item level, allowing us to not only go through the item world for it again. We'll start at level 1. In fact, you know what? Let's go ahead and actually show you this, shall we? So let's just go on into this Trapezidon right now. I am already at floor 30, so this should be nice and quick for us. So let me just bring out my main units. Right, okay, now, where's the item god? Where are you? I think it's the one that just, no, it's there. Okay, so there's the item god currently. Has been buffed, but that's fine. We can still kill this pretty quickly. So we're just going to go ahead and kill the item god as normal. Although one thing you can also do as well, if you really want to, is you could try and steal. Unfortunately, I just got paralyzed, so that's not going to happen. We're just going to kill the item god as normal. So this is basically just saying, you know, we gained a couple of bonus levels. We are already level 500, so we're not going to get any extra levels. And this is just allowing me to take extra properties over when we do actually do the reincarnation. Either way, I've killed the item god too, so we're going to advance to the next floor right now. Okay, so here is my final trap, okay? Obviously, we were already max level, so we could not get any more levels for that. Now what we're going to do is we are going to go and reincarnate that once I get to it. Oh, wrong one. Okay, so here's the reincarnation menu. There's my trap. As you can see, it costs 204,000 item points. So what we have now is a few different items. Firstly, we could reincarnate it into another Trapezidon with these extra properties right here. Or if I really wanted to, I could reincarnate it into a healing item. That would be really, really, really silly. So we are not going to do that. What I'm instead going to do is I'm going to choose this one right here, which does have a few extra abilities. Now, as you can see, okay, the stats are much, much lower. We've gone from 5 million HP and SP down to 2 million. However, my base stats have gone from 758,000 down to 300,000. Now, that is perfectly normal, okay? That is because we are splitting our stats up like this. Now, as you can see, like, we are gaining quite a decent amount there, but if I was to remove all of these points so it's not an even spread, if I just wanted to do attack, we could get a 50% gain on that stat. Now, currently, I don't know how we can increase the LP. I don't know if it will just slowly go up the more and more reincarnations we do. I am still testing that, but because I don't speak Japanese, it is unfortunately not that easy to do. However, I just keep things spread evenly anyway. Now, one of the other things to point out is if we take a look at my other trap right here, that one is only level 100, and as you can see, that is at 391,000 in terms of stats. This is an item that I duped, okay? It has nothing really special done about it. It just has all of the normal bills passed, okay? So, let's now go ahead and actually reincarnate this trap now that we have established a base value. So straight off the bat, there's the extra properties that we got previously, so we're going to take them over to the next version. So now that we've leveled it up, we can go ahead and actually do some other stuff. So remember, this is a level 100 one. This is the one that we just reincarnated. However, now we do have all of these new things available. So once again, every time you reincarnate, you can then pass more bills to increase the stats of the item. So the ones that are valued at 200,000, you can only do once. The ones that are valued at 10,000, you can do twice. And the ones that are valued at 500, you can do 3 times. Now, personally, I just suggest doing each and every one, simply due to the fact item points are incredibly easy to farm anyway. So there's no point not doing them for an extra bit of a stat gain. Now, one thing I will say about the item reincarnation as well, however, it only seems to allow you to reincarnate items that you have already had access to. So what I mean by that is just how we had access to the elixir and 2 trapezidons. That is because if we went to the shop right here, not the shop, sorry, the record keeper, and we actually looked at what items I have available, I would have the elixir available, so it would allow me to reincarnate into that. However, right here, I do not have the rank 40 spear. So it will not allow me to reincarnate into that. Now, that is the way I personally see it anyway. That is the way it's worked for me so far. I don't know whether that is true or not. We'll just have to wait and see as more and more playing is done. One thing I will say, however, is I have not yet come across a way to upgrade an item higher. So what that means is I have not been able to turn an Arcadia into a Trapezidon, for example. The only things I have seen happen when it comes to reincarnation for items is that it will either be the same rank item, it could be a different item like a spear or a sword or a gun, but it will be the same rank, or it can be a rank lower. I have not seen, 2 ranks lower, 3 ranks lower, and I have not seen ranks higher either. Anyway, back to the Trapezidon that we were working on earlier. So now what we can also do is we can also pass some normal bills to level it up. So if we just go ahead and get this to level 100, so right there, as you can see now, both of these Trapezidons are the same level, okay? They are pretty much identical in every single way. The only difference is, okay, this first trap right here, the one that we did not reincarnate, has had a couple of less boss kills, but that is fine. Boss kills now only give bonus levels. And this one has just had an extra reincarnation with extra bills passed. So as you can see, the stats are slightly higher. It's gone up by about 40,000 in stats and about 300,000 for HP and SP. So now, to create a perfect item, we would simply repeat the process. We would level this Trapezidon up to 500 while going through all 30 floors in the item world, and then, once again, we would reincarnate it to increase the stats even further. Now, this is something you can focus on if you really wanted to. You could use 50% in attack, and you could just really boost attack all the way up. The problem, if you do this, however, is you are going to lose all of your other stats gained. So I don't think that is actually worthwhile. I think it is far more efficient to level all of the stats at once, okay? Of course, if you just want to focus a specific stat, then that is perfectly fine. That is up to you. For me, I personally just prefer doing it all at once. Okay, so what other changes are there to the item world? Well, firstly, we can obviously get item points by turning in, random items that we come across. We can also turn in innocence to get item points as well. Now, as soon as you start the game, if you actually do the hospital gacha farm, you are actually going to have a huge amount of innocence available for this. So this will actually be one of the better ways to earn item points early. Okay, if you are still early on in the game, you're not at the point of being able to, fully do the hospital gacha farm with the auto sale on, then selling innocence is still a good way to go. One thing I will note, however, is when it comes to the innocent farm. Now, this is the same way as it's always been in every Disgaea title. However, one of the things the tutorial explained was that when you combine innocents, like if you put, say, two different innocents in the farm, they can combine and create a new innocent. Now, the way I personally understood this is if you put an attack innocent in there, along with, say, a speed innocent, then you should get a sprinter, which is something from previous Disgaea titles, which will increase your attack and your speed using just the one innocent. Now, I've tried this for about 20 hours and about 600 stages, if not more. I have not been able to create a new innocent via the farm. Now, this could be a language barrier problem. I could have misunderstood something because I was only using Google Translate for that feature. It could simply be on about that if you stick two attack innocents in the farm at once, it can create a third, effectively just breeding the original innocent. Again, though, language problems, we'd have to find that out in the English version, unless somebody who does speak Japanese fluently can, you know, drop a comment down below and just let us know about the real version of the innocent farm, just to make sure if I have misunderstood something or not. Now, the last bit of information about the innocent world, the item world, is you actually don't unlock this as early as you might think. So, for the item world itself, I don't think it actually unlocked until around Chapter 4 or Chapter 5 this time. That is definitely quite a bit later than normal compared to previous Disgaea titles. Also, one of the things I will just very quickly add on is pathways are back. Okay, so you can choose different versions of the item to go through. So the top one right here, for example, is just the normal route. It's bog standard, a mix of everything. You have item level focus. This is where you're going to get more item spheres and so on and so forth. You have treasure chest focus, where you're going to get more treasure chests. You have extra bonus rooms. You also have extra chances at getting lucky boards and so on and so forth. And last but not least, you also have an extra chance at getting innocence. So if you wanted to focus on just item levels or just getting innocence, you could very easily just change the actual item itself and focus on that. However, personally, I think it's kind of redundant. The best way of doing it is just to go through the actual leveling item until you have created a perfect item, at which point you would then swap it to small room and go for the duplication room. Because, let me put it this way, farming innocence in Disgaea 7 is incredibly pointless from the item world, okay? The reason I say that is if we take a look at the cap right now, so the cap for innocence is 50,000, as you can see right there. However, if we take a look at Carnage items, so how many innocents do we get? Not many, actually. So right here, you know, this is 27 defense innocents, 23 hits, 20 SP. Like, killing normal innocents in the item world is incredibly bad. You could use the innocent farm to boost them, but that again is really slow, when if you look at the actual gacha system, the innocents that you can get from the final Carnage tier are 2,000 innocents in one go. Much faster, and they're already subdued as well. And even if you don't have access to Carnage World, you will be able to access the 10,000 one straight from the get-go. If we take a look at the innocence you get from that, it is still 600. Now, I was grinding the Japanese version of the demo, and when I actually got the full version of the demo, my innocent farm was completely full, and I had, once I combined them, I had multiple 50,000 capped innocents without even really noticing. So again, farming innocents in the item world, really pointless, to be honest. But though, everybody, that about sums everything up about the item world this time. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope it has helped and answered any questions that you might have. If you still have anything that you would like to ask, feel free and drop a comment down below. And while you're down there, smash that like button, because it really helps out the channel. And of course, if you are new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more content. As always though, everybody, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.